So, Evan, after last year, you make it to the state semifinals. Going into this season, here we are at week 9. Did you anticipate this team being as good as it has been to this point?
I think as a coach, you look at the foundation that was set last year, and it was remarkable the run we ran until Massillon. And I think everybody had that itch to get back to where we are right now. But heading into week 9, we really, truly don't know how good we are or how good we can be yet. Defensively, we've played a lot better than we've had in the previous years that I've been here. And offensively, we have some senior firepower that came back and that is definitely leading our team and getting ready for this week and so forth.
What did you learn? Obviously, great year last year. You wind up 13-2. You run into a buzzsaw in Massillon, Washington. What did you learn from that game that you took into this year?
I think the line of scrimmage was very, very different. The speed of the game, but also from a week-to-week basis. Last year we lost to Milford, and it really, really stung because we didn't play very well. And in big games, we have to play at a high, high level. You know, you look at college football this previous week and the weekends before, you know, there's a lot of big-time games, and people either look forward to that opportunity, and we're looking forward to this opportunity, but we have the playoffs ahead of us, and we got to make sure every opportunity is counted for, and we're excited about that.
Coaches will always say, you know, we want to be tested. We need those games where it comes down to the end. It really shows your mettle. I look at your games, and your closest game has been Lebanon, 41-7. Do you worry about that at all? Just the fact that you, assuming this is a close one, that you haven't been in those type circumstances where you need a drive to put a game away, where you need a stop. Is that a concern?
I think as coach talk is always going to tell you, like, hey, we need to be tested. But our kids are tested throughout the preseason. We did a great scrimmage versus a couple of teams. But as time goes on, we need to see if we're really that physical. And I think they're going to test us Friday night. But as a coach, you're trying to stress, hey, we have to get better. And it's really, really hard for a teenager with the scores and the outcomes that we have. So we're preaching process, but realistically, to a teenager's mind, we have to keep preaching it day after day and see where it takes us, because as a coach, I've never been in this situation before. Not one coach can ever say, like, hey, we need this, we need that, until Friday night hits.
Now, let me ask you as a coach, I think you always have had the reputation as being kind of an offensive-minded guy, but I know even last year you beat Winton Woods 20-13. It was really defense that really made the difference. And it looks like this year, based on how few points you've given up, that this defense is really better. Did you shift at all your philosophy to where, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a time when you took most of your studs and put them on offense. Have you changed that thought process a little bit?
I think as time goes on and you get more experience, that, you know, we went through a time where we're scoring 40-plus points and, you know, the games were really, really close. And then you look at a philosophy of how do you get your team and program to take it to another level. And we're still not at a state championship level until we dominate on defense and make sure we control the line of scrimmage. And I think over the last few years, we've had to change. You know, we're losing the regional finals. The Kings 2 years ago was heartbreaking for our program and our team, and we've had to be able to change that. And last year, it was improving on defense, and this year, most vastly improved for sure.
Well, you use the word program, and I think you have to feel like Anderson now is a true, bona fide, contending program every year. Was there a game? Was there an outcome? Was there a time where you said, okay, now we're a real program?
I think, you know, we got here, they were coming off 1-9. I got here 8 years ago, and we just made a little progress, and then over time, I would say the 5-5. We came after COVID, and we had a really good season, lost LaSalle. And then we had to figure it out, and then we lost the Kings in the regional finals. And now we're trying to make a huge step. And people want to talk about opportunities and taking the next step. But a lot of teams in Cincinnati, can we do it year in, year out? And it's a struggle because you can't ride the roller coaster wave of talent. We got to make sure it's a program where it's year after year. That's what we're trying to change.
I want to ask you to talk about the offensive side of the ball and hit on some key names. I mean, I look at the numbers you're putting up and the scores, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, you're 8 games into a season in the ECC. You're averaging 51 points a game. Talk about the difference makers on offense.
I think it starts with our quarterback, Justice Burnham. I think his ability to distribute the football, just like a point guard, to our playmakers. Trace Jalek, the senior outside receiver, and then you go inside to Caden and Aiden. Caden committed to UCF, and he's got a special talent inside. I compare him to Joe Royer, elder and now at UC, and then We have Jake Brammer, and then you got Rel Turner at running back that has an explosive element that we've had. We've had Brody Berg, who was Division II State Player of the Year. Rel brings a different kind of talent to that. And then offensive line, when you have 4 or 5 seniors returning, it's really, really special that came back and just have been very healthy and have been able to keep just as upright and give us some running lanes too.
Flip to the other side of the ball, where years ago you probably didn't want your name mentioned if you were on the Anderson defense. Now you do, right? Who are some of those key guys?
I think it starts with the D-line. Alex Stanyard, Ben Schultz, Jaden Egbert, Colton Hornschmeyer. Starts with the D-line because you have to control the line of scrimmage. That's what's going to be helpful Friday night. And then you go to our linebackers, Reed Baker, Antoine Higgins, Brady Kuhn on the outside. They give great edge presence. And then inside, Reed Baker, Owen Bergman, and Tommy Huster. Then on the defensive backfield, those guys have played really, really well and are going to be tested Friday night with their explosiveness on offense. And it just starts with Ace Alston and Kamari Ty on the edge. And then you got the safeties. You got Braden Heemstra Berkeley, Fetcher, and then you have Jayon Saunders at free safety.
Impressive. Glad you pronounced some of those names and not me. So when you look at Winton Woods, I mean, their defense, there are many, they've had some great defenses, but there are many who say this might be their best yet. When you watch them on film, what is it about their defense? I mean, they've allowed 4 touchdowns all year and one of those to backups. So, I mean, you know, they've given up no more than 7 points in any game. What makes their defense so good?
I think it starts with the defensive line play that they've always had. Then it goes back to their defensive back play. They've had great defensive backs before that have been scholarship kids, but they play as a unit. And then the main leader is, you know, you have Justin Hill at the defensive line, then you go to Anderson at number 9. He's really, really special. Then you go to Ciante and the rest of those guys and Rogers that make plays in the back end. And I think they challenge everybody. They're not afraid. They're very confident, and they want a game like this to challenge, and we want to challenge them. So it starts with how destructive they are at defensive line, because I would tell you they do a bunch of different things really, really well, and it starts with those guys.
Final question about the game. Isn't this really for both of you kind of the test that you need heading in? Now, they're obviously D1 now, so that's going to be a little change for Winton Woods, certainly. But I know there's some people D1 who don't want to see them in the postseason. But what will you guys find out, both teams, after Friday night?
I think going to this game, it's all about, can we handle the speed and physicality that they bring? Because in the Division I level, after coaching at Oak Hills for 1 season, I think the physicality is at an all-time high, especially now with Moeller, Princeton. The GMC has done an unbelievable job of improvement. And now them going there, they want to see how good can they do with stopping an offense and being able to challenge and get ready for Division I. And there's been some great games over the years of Winton Woods Anderson, you know, throughout the playoffs. And this is hopefully another great opportunity to see a great rivalry.
People have asked me, you know, the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown. I said, this might be the game of the year. I mean, if you look at it on paper, and then of course Willie and Skippy might be on site, so it doesn't get any bigger than that. But I mean, really, this is kind of the game. I mean, you know, people talk about this. This is the game that everybody circled for this week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think when you looked at it and you wanted to see this as a spectator, you're going to see the offense versus defense. Okay, of Anderson High School offense versus their defense, it's number 1 versus number 1. But I think also on the other challenges, our defense versus their offense, because they bring some explosive plays, running the football. They've been able to run the football versus everybody. Can our defense stop the run? So honestly, when you look at it, it's going to be an unbelievable Friday night, but it's also going to be a great opportunity to see who's really good at certain things and come away from it. And then you head into week 10 in the playoffs.